We're living in a really profound time in history. We're living in a time where 2,700-year-old prophecies from Isaiah and Ezekiel and Jeremiah, they've been lying dormant for about that long, and many of them are coming to pass.
On the 70th anniversary of the founding of the modern nation of Israel, wow, see the remarkable transformation that shows biblical prophecies fulfilled. Plus, bogus charges, secret witnesses, and a rigged legal system. The show trial that could put this American pastor in a Turkish prison for the rest of his life. And this Muslim turned Christian faced more than physical opposition for his conversion. Hear the amazing story about the spiritual battle that threatened his family and his future. Hello everyone, welcome to this week's edition of Christian World News. I'm George Thomas. My colleague Wendy Griffith is on assignment. After a 12-hour hearing this week, American pastor Andrew Brunson is back inside a Turkish prison cell. His defenders say Turkey is using bogus charges and a rigged legal system to stack the case against Brunson. However, the U.S. Congress is preparing to punch back. Jennifer Wishon tells us what's next.
On May 7th, Pastor Andrew Brunson is condemned once again to the notorious prison where he began his 18-month detention, the place where he lost 50 pounds.
He can never leave his cell, ever. Not to eat, not to go to the restroom, not to get some fresh air.
Christina Arriaga is one of just a few people who've seen Brunson. Despite severe overcrowding, he's isolated as the only Christian and speaks limited Turkish.
They're doing their prayers all the time so he doesn't sleep. He's anxious, he's nervous.
Now his Turkish attorney, who could be jailed himself, is facing a near impossible task.
They fabricate evidence. They have these secret witnesses that fabricate testimony, and it really puts you in a poor position to provide any kind of defense.
Pastor Brunson has no opportunity of a free and fair trial in Turkey. He is already smeared and condemned in Turkey's pro-government media. He has no attorney-client privilege.
Aykan Erdemir is a former member of Turkey's parliament. He says what's happening to Brunson reads like a science fiction novel. At his trial Monday, Brunson spent hours defending himself against the most ludicrous charges.
A text message to him by a colleague of his who tells him, "I'm sorry, I have diarrhea. I won't be able to make it to church." Any self-respecting, I think, court would have refused to entertain such accusations.
Brunson's defenders say his detention has nothing to do with the bogus charges against him. They contend he's a pawn for Turkish President Erdogan, who's holding him hostage to pressure the U.S. into extraditing several Turkish nationals and to settle his own paranoia following a failed coup attempt 2 years ago.
At the center of his paranoia is his fixation with the West and what he sees as the Judeo-Christian civilization. So this is part of his crusade against the West.
Now that Turkey's court has had a chance to do the right thing, bipartisan members of Congress are pursuing sanctions against Turkish officials who participate in the detainment of innocent American citizens. Since actions against Pastor Brunson and other Americans, they say, qualify as hostage-taking. Under Turkish law, Brunson could languish in prison for 7 years before courts take any action. If convicted, the 50-year-old father of 3 faces a sentence of 35 years. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
Thank you, Jennifer. You can show your support for Pastor Brunson. The American Center for Law and Justice has started a petition drive. Find a link to that petition at our website, cbnnews.com. Nearly 3,000 years ago, Hebrew prophets wrote about how the land of Israel would be transformed. Now, a new book shows the remarkable and even prophetic changes in that land in the 70 years since Israel became a nation. My colleague Chris Mitchell explains from Jerusalem.
150 years ago, famed author Mark Twain visited the Holy Land and wrote, "It was a desolate country and a silent and mournful expanse."
He talks about up in the Jezreel Valley, he talks about how that you can travel in 10 miles in any direction and not see a single person. And so one of the towns that we did some photography was of a small town of Afula, which is really off the map as far as many Westerners are concerned, but it was established in the early 1900s. So 50, 60 years after Mark Twain, there's a small Jewish settlement. And today it's a booming Israeli city that we've been able to match some side-by-side perfect photography with it.
Doug Hershey and his team chose 200 photographs of Israel from the 1880s to the 1940s. In his new book, Israel Rising, The Land of Israel Reawakens, Hershey chronicles the changes from that time span until today.
That's been part of the joy. I mean, we have these old photos of Tel Aviv of less than 100 years ago of shacks on sand dunes with camel caravans on the beach, and to compare it from the exact same angle today, it's just stunning.
The book follows Ezekiel's promise, where in chapter 36, verse 8, the prophet declared, "But you, O mountains of Israel, you shall shoot forth your branches and yield your fruit to my people Israel, for they are about to come."
We think of prophecy being to kings or to people or nations, but he's prophesying to the land that when Israel returns as a nation, branches will put forth fruit, waste cities will be rebuilt, the people and beasts will be multiplied on the land will be cultivated and sown.
These side-by-side photos show the transformations. Here's Jerusalem near the King David Hotel in the 1930s, and the same view today. This is the Hebrew University campus in 1925, and what it looks like now. From the north in Haifa to the south in Beersheba, Hershey says the pictures represent the prophet's words coming alive.
We're living in a really profound time in history. We're living in a time where 2,700-year-old prophecies from Isaiah and Ezekiel and Jeremiah, they've been lying dormant for about that long, and many of them are coming to pass. The most repeated promise through the scriptures is that God will bring his people back to the land, and when they do, there's going to be these dramatic changes, and we're seeing those.
Hershey says the land itself seemed to be waiting for its ancient people to return.
To me, it's one of the most profound things here, is this land has been conquered 15, 20 different times. It never becomes a homeland for any other people group, and the land would never produce for any other people group. And Israel moves back in, and suddenly the vast desert wastelands are now producing flowers, they're producing fruit. Isaiah 27 talks about how that when Israel returns, Jacob will take root and fill the earth with fruit. And for many centuries, believers would read that and look at that as allegorical or spiritual, and we're finding today it's very literal. It's happening right now.
Hershey says the book provides a visual opportunity for those who have never visited Israel, and it's also struck a chord with the younger generations.
But most millennials are ready for something real. They want to see something practical. It's as far as much of perhaps theological Christianity that they've been raised on, more ideas. They're ready for something solid. They're ready for something real. And so even now when I speak in the States, sometimes I'll have questions about theology or questions about the land, and usually my answer revolves around, let me show you. Come with me to Israel, I'll show you myself.
As Israel celebrates its 70th anniversary, Hershey sees Israel as a miracle.
Absolutely. I mean, Israel is the time clock, as many people have heard and have said, and I believe that as well. I mean, there's so much that is happening here in a very short amount of time. To me, it's one of the most profound miracles of our day.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Truly a miracle. Coming up, a Christian worker in China gets a harsh jail term for taking Bibles to a neighboring country. That story and more in our World Watch report.
Prayer is a communication with God. It's a powerful exchange between God and man. We're going to answer many of your questions in Answered Prayer, how to pray effectively and see God work in your life.
In Pat Robertson's latest DVD, Answered Prayer, you'll learn the biblical principles of prayer and how to get your prayers answered. And hear miraculous stories of answers to prayer from Pat's own faith-filled journey.
We share some of the lessons that I've learned along the way.
Plus, you'll see dramatic, true stories of life-changing answers to prayer.
God proves himself time and time again.
He's in the room with us, answering people's prayers.
I think I survived because God has a bigger plan for my life.
The doctor was just like, I've never seen anything like this before.
He hears your prayers.
I never saw this coming.
Every great work of God is preceded by prayer.
Answered Prayer, How to pray effectively and see God work in your life. Call now or go to cbn.com.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. My husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphans Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
And welcome back to Christian World News. Leading off our World Watch segment, a Chinese missionary is serving 7 years in prison for taking Bibles from China to Myanmar on a makeshift boat. Chinese agents arrested John Chow in March 2017. He's made 11 missionary trips to Myanmar in recent years. The pastor is a permanent resident of the United States and his family lives in North Carolina. We recently spoke to his son, who is pleading for his father's release.
We're hoping that the Chinese government will show mercy and provide my father unconditional release immediately. So we understand that the trial resulted in a 7-year sentence that my father's appealing, and we hope that through the appeal process and through some persuasion from the United States government that the Chinese government will release him unconditionally after the appeal process has concluded.
Please continue to pray for Pastor Chow. The State Department says it is deeply concerned about Chow's condition and is pressing the Chinese government to release him. Almost 2,000 Kachin Christians are trapped in the jungles of Myanmar as fighting between government troops and rebel forces rages. A Baptist leader says people are facing food and water shortages, and there isn't enough medicine to treat the sick and wounded. The Kachin are members of a minority group in Myanmar. For decades, they've been battling Myanmar's government for their own autonomous region. Some 100,000 Kachin have been displaced from their homes since fighting erupted there back in 2011. An Islamic State terrorist attack against Christians in Quetta, Pakistan, Sunday has devastated the Christian community there. As churchgoers left a service, gunmen on motorbikes drove by and opened fire. Witnesses said they heard the terrorists shout Allahu Akbar as they sped away. One Christian leader now warns that Pakistan has never been more dangerous for non-Muslims than it is now.
This is a country steeped in extremist Islamic ideology. I don't think anything is going to change their way of thinking unless it's something very forceful, perhaps international sanctions. Pray for safety and peace for Christians and other minorities in Pakistan. At this juncture in time, I don't believe Pakistan's ever been more dangerous than ever for its non-Muslim population.
And sadly, the violence continues. On Easter, 4 members of a Christian family were killed by Islamic terrorists in that same city of Quetta. People in India are joining widespread protests because of a rape epidemic, which one prominent figure describes as a national emergency. It all began when the rape and murder of 2 little girls, one 8 years old and the other about 10. Now celebrities, business people and social activists are rallying for justice. We recently spoke with Christian minister Joseph D'Souza about this violent trend.
I am embarrassed, ashamed that the culture of rape has only increased and violence against women has only increased. There is a fundamental problem in the mindset of the Indian male population. It has to do with our culture. It goes across caste and religious background. And the value attached to a woman is second to the value attached to a man. There's such inequality and discrimination.
pray for the world's largest democracy. D'Souza runs a ministry helping women and girls who are sexually abused and trafficked in India. The installation of a new leader could mean a change in religious freedom for Cuba's growing church. Miguel Díaz-Canel was named president as Raúl Castro steps aside. Greater religious freedom in recent years has allowed Cuban house churches to multiply, bringing spiritual renewal to the island nation. Church leaders in Cuba are encouraging Christians to pray and remain cautiously optimistic. Former Congressman Frank Wolf says the church must not remain silent about ongoing international Christian persecution. He's particularly concerned about the dwindling number of Christians in the Middle East since the start of the Iraq War back in 2003.
Before the war broke out, there were 1.5 million Christians in Iraq. Now they're down to 250,000. Why hasn't the church in the West come to the aid of the Christians who want to return and want to stay?
Wolf urges churches to actively get involved in helping Christians suffering in the Middle East, or warns there may become a day when there are none left in that region. You can find more stories about the church around the world and watch full episodes of Christian World News. It's all at our webpage. You can find it at the address on your screen. Still ahead, this man left Islam to follow Jesus, and all hell literally came against him. That dramatic story when we come back just in a few seconds. Stay with us.
Parents, the Superbook Bible app is a great way to get your child reading the Bible, because in today's busy world, we can use some help. The free Superbook Bible app has fun stuff your kids will love. They'll have a blast learning the Bible, playing great games, watching cool videos, discovering heroes in the Bible. They'll have fun while they learn God's Word. The Superbook Kids Bible app, available now.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
All of a sudden, everything starts to let go. The ledge and everything.
Right when I realized that I was buried, I knew I was going to die.
So I just cried out to God, said, God, what do I do? And I heard him just as loud as you're talking to me, go find your brother.
See miraculous stories like this in Answered Prayer. Pat Robertson's latest teaching uncovers the keys to help you get results, break down barriers, and build dynamic faith to receive your answered prayer. Available now.
And welcome back to Christian World News. The man you're about to meet was once a nominal Muslim who sought a deeper understanding of God. Unfortunately, his search took him to some very dark places and some very scary experiences. But as Lucille Talusan tells us, when he discovered Jesus, he was delivered from the powers of darkness.
According to the latest census, Muslim population in Australia has soared to more than 600,000 people, making Islam the most popular and fast-growing non-Christian religion in the country. But while extreme Islamization poses a threat to Australian society, there are Muslims who have made decisions to leave their religion and embrace Christianity. We hear of many stories all around the world of Muslims converting to Christianity through dreams and visions. Here in Australia, we met a Muslim man whose family was tormented by the devil until he experienced a supernatural encounter with Jesus. Ismail is a Turkish Muslim. He migrated to Australia when he was 19. Although he practiced Islam, He considered himself a moderate Muslim because he always had questions about God and Islam.
I wanted to know the unknown about God, about the spiritual realms, about, is witchcraft from God or is it from the devil?
In his search for answers, he got involved with the occult, not knowing that he opened himself to demonic spirits. He met a Turkish Muslim who called spirits using the Ouija board and a coffee cup. Ismail continued with this activity with the spirit world until the manifestations of the devil became more and more frightening.
We are making coffee. I'm making my own coffee, he's making his own coffee. So I'm stirring the coffee. And I'm looking at the coffee cup, and I'm seeing this creature in this coffee. I can see literally live on the coffee that this creature is looking at me, behind me, hanging on the curtain. They were kind of human-y, kind of demonic bats kind of looking creatures. Really long fingernails. And every time when they were flapping their wings, there was smoke coming out of them. On the last day when I actually was leaving his house, he said, look, 2 of them are going with you.
For 4 years, Ismail's 2 sons were tormented by the devil.
They started making sketches, really scary faces with red eyes. They kept saying, they came to our bed and they started, shaking. My kid, he was in the bed and he was literally like with his fist, he was throwing fists. He was sitting in his bed and screaming. 10, 15, 20 minutes, I can't remember. We were not able to wake him up. We still couldn't wake him up. So I laid him down flat and I said, what's happening? He's still there. He still didn't wake up. I freaked out.
Out of his frustration, he sought the help of his Iranian Christian friend who brought him to a Bible study. Here, he surrendered his life to Jesus.
And then I'm seeing this figure. He's holding his hands up like this towards me. And I could tell he's smiling. I could not, all I was seeing was just this light coming everywhere. It just was amazing. And I actually, fall in love with him. And that's how I converted.
The pastor instructed Ismail to pray for 2 weeks, commanding the demons to leave their home.
Every night I was praying. I was saying, in the name of Jesus Christ, you have no authority here. Your demons leave. In Jesus' name.
His children stopped having nightmares. Since then, Ismail hungered for the Word and began reading the Bible. He compared what the Bible said with the teachings in the Quran.
There is nowhere in the book, nobody can find anywhere where Allah says, if you do this, you will go to heaven. There is only one way, and that is if you get martyred and in the way of jihad. I know now the truth. Jesus is as real as you and me. He has created us, and only through His blood we can come to God the Father. And He is an amazing, compassionate, graceful, forgiving God.
Lucille Talusan, CBN News, Melbourne.
Incredible. Reminds me of that verse in Isaiah 9:2. It says, the people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. That's the light of Jesus Christ. When we come back, the First Lady who put family and faith before all else. That story when we return.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes and Google Play now.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. My husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphans Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
When you give, smiles grow bigger. When you care, homes are happier. When you comfort, the hurt goes away. When we all come together to love, miracles happen.
And finally on the show this week, Barbara Bush was the mother of one American president and the wife of another. She died this week at the age of 92. As Jennifer Wishon reports, Mrs. Bush put family first.
Barbara Bush, America's grandmother, the matriarch of the Bush political dynasty, and just the second lady in history to be both wife and mother to U.S. presidents. A no-nonsense woman known for her pearl necklaces, quick wit, and fierce love of family. Her husband's silver fox.
Well, I think I've had the luckiest life in the world. But I think to have someone like George Bush to share it with makes it considerably easier.
In this 1992 interview with CBN's Terry Meeuwsen, Bush explained what was special about her family growing up.
We sat as a family around a table 3 times a day. I think that's something people can try very hard to do.
Born Barbara Pierce on June 8, 1925, she grew up in a suburb of New York City. She was 16 when she met her future husband at a dance. The couple had 6 children and together endured the death of their daughter Robin, who lost her battle with leukemia when just 3 years old.
And of course, I have great belief in God, and so does George Bush, so that helps a lot.
Bush was a fixture in Washington for more than a decade, serving as second lady while the Reagans occupied the White House before moving in herself. As first lady, she focused on improving literacy among parents and children, believing better literacy can solve many of society's problems. In a note to her alma mater, Smith College, shortly before she died, Bush wrote, "I am still old and still in love." She was a popular first lady and celebrated by many at the end for choosing comfort care that allowed her to enjoy her final days with her family. In her 700 Club interview, she encouraged young couples to make family their top priority.
I think it's nice to pray together. I think it's nice to tell your children you love them. And I confess I did not grow up where we said that to each other. We were rather stuffy, I think. But now I have no qualms about telling people I love them.
The Bushes were married, by the way, 73 years. All right, folks, that's it for this week. Until next week, goodbye and God bless you.